Okay, I want you guys all to do me a favor, close your eyes. I'm going to tell you a story and just play it out in your head. December of 1975. You have just been sentenced to life without parole for robbing a gas station. Now, the usual sentencing for that is about 2 to 5 years. But what happened afterwards is a cop was shot and killed. 17 years later, these guys, the guy that supposedly shot the cop, kept proclaiming that he was innocent. And finally, 17 years later, the 3 witnesses were investigated again, and they said that they were pressured by the LAPD to identify the guy as the one who shot him. So right now, I'm going to take you guys all into some examples and statistics of police having too much power and not enough punishment for things that have gone wrong. First of all, I know, come on, all you guys have seen police on cell phones after the cell phone ban. I mean, who hasn't? I've always wanted to just take a picture of my cell phone just to say look what they're doing, and they get nothing done about it. They almost get praised for it. A story about someone getting praised for doing getting praised for such a thing was a case with Derek Kopp. He was supposedly a marijuana activist, and the cops came over, knocked on the door, trying to serve a drug warrant. Soon as Derek Kopp opened the door, he was not able to see because a police flashlight was held straight in his face and he was blinded. When he tried to, raise his hands up to cover his eyes to keep the light out, he was shot in the chest once by the cop for fear that he was going to hit the cop or something. That officer was not disciplined at all. Actually, it was quite the opposite. He was put on paid administrative leave with no jail time, no investigations really. Another story which is very interesting I found. An officer by the name of Anthony Abate. He beat Carolina Obreca, about half his size. She's about 115 pounds, he's about 225. He beat her because she refused to serve him any more alcohol. She was a bartender, and she said, "No, you're too drunk, I'm not going to serve you anymore." He was actually caught on tape doing this. And what he was sentenced to? 2 years probation, no jail time, nothing. If a person had actually done this, it would have been at least 2 to 5 years as well. Some statistics about things happening. National police misconduct statistics were released from a survey from April to September of 2009, so 6 months worth. The people conducting the investigation actually took a lot from Twitter and Facebook and MySpace and such sites, which you guys would be saying what? How would you get accurate results? Yes, they claim that the results are as close as they can get to accurate, but they are not 100%. What happens is if you just take whatever has been said in court and what's 100% verified, a lot of things are not said that happens in the police station and things, and not a lot of things have been registered with the courts. So when they were doing this, they saw that there was about 2,568 misconducts reported in just those 6 months. 215 of them resulted in deaths. The major trend, the top 3 that were actual problems that were reported, there was 21.3% was burglary, 13% was sexual assault or something to the sort, and 9.8% theft. It's actually also how they're charged, the cops versus, civilized people, just not, normal citizens. For sexual assault, on average, it was about 1 of 3,413 citizens are charged with such thing, and only 1 of 846 cops are charged. This, they said, although the survey was done through about 6 months, they projected the amount to be for about a year. Homicides. Citizens are usually, around 1 out of 18,518 are accused of homicide. 1 of 2,374 are accused by cops who have committed homicide. Their convictions. Now, okay, these numbers weigh so much already. What crimes have happened. I mean, yeah, cops are good. I'm not saying anything about that. Most cops, they follow the law, and that might be a big reason why they haven't committed as many crimes. But for the crimes they have committed, they're not really getting convicted for. They have for convictions, they have a 31% conviction rate for police officers, 68% for citizens. That's a major difference. And for sentencing, on average, it's about 37 months for, normal citizens, only 14 months for cops. Cops are good. I'm not saying anything bad about that. But I believe that they have way too much power and definitely not anywhere near enough punishment. Now, I want you guys to think back to that story I told you in 1973, where you guys were sentenced to life. That night, you were being held in county jail and had no way to be able to kill that officer. Thank you.
Biha, what did you think?
It was pretty good, but I was kind of confused at the beginning, and there was no, thesis. She just started with the topic and just went for it. I feel like if she had, 3 points that she was going to talk about, it would have been more clear. But, I mean, she spoke well. She had her hand movements and stuff. Her gestures were pretty good. But I feel like there was no, set structure.
All right. Well, that would be my main observation also. I don't really think there's much of a structure here, and it's a little vague what you're saying about the situation. I know the topic area, but the claim needs to be focused a heck of a lot more, and there needs to be some way to develop it. You've got a series of examples that you present early on, and the examples are not always complete. There's no citation on any of the examples that you're presenting, and so I'm not exactly sure what inference I'm supposed to be drawing at that point. When you get, when you get to the statistical information, it's a little bit different. The first set of statistics that you present on, for instance, being charged with crimes, 1 in 36,000 versus 1 in 800 or some number like that. The inference I'm drawing from that seems to be that the police are being charged with crimes at a rate much higher than the private citizen is, and so that seems to run counter to your thesis. Unless your thesis is the cops are just bigger bad eggs than we expect, and so they're committing more crime than the average citizen is. Well, maybe that's your thesis. I'm not quite sure where you're going with it. When you get to the conviction rate, that's where something seems to maybe apply a little bit more to your argument that cops are not held to the same standard as private citizens are, and I think maybe that should be your focus. Either the investigations are inadequate, the results of the investigation rarely result in prosecution, and when the prosecutions occur, they're rarely successful. And what are the reasons for that? Is it because the system gives cops the benefit of the doubt? Is it because the jurors are unwilling to convict? Is it because there's not enough data? Is it because the people who are testifying? I think that you need to get a bigger grasp on this, where you're going. I think it's a good subject area for you to talk about, but you don't really seem to know what it is you're trying to say about it, except that you're pissed that some cops are not being more severely punished. And, you know, I think the world's full of people who aren't severely enough punished for a whole variety of things. You know, cops, politicians, traffic violators. But I don't know that I'd want to make a speech about it.